Okay, we are live today, Sunday, with Jamila J's Girl Talk. I'm Naeem Najib, standing in for Charles Brakely at Feel Good Talk, Mind, Body, Soul, and Business. And Jamila is going to introduce her show and the special guest. So, without further ado, Jamila.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Jamila J. Girl Talk here on Feel Good Talk Mind, Body, Soul, and Business. Thank you, Naeem. He'll be back to help us with the questions. But Chuck is, what Chuck does. He's on his one and twos and he's doing his DJ thing. And thank you, Naeem, so much for always being the person that helps us. And today I have a very special guest. Oh my God, you guys are not ready for Calysol. We're going to be talking about body image. We're going to be talking about, what are we going to be talking about? It's going to be a very great conversation. And I want to dedicate this show to Sarah Bartman. So as we start, I will allow Calysol to tell us a little bit about herself, and then I want to educate the audience about Barton, because I am Sarah Barton, you are Sarah Barton, and now that the world has changed, the Kardashians want to be Sarah Barton. So, Calysol, where were you born and where do you live?
Good day, everyone. So I was born in California and I live in Colorado. I was raised here in Colorado, so I am the original Colorado native.
Wow.
I grew up out here in Montbello in the hood.
Wow. Where'd you get the name Calysol?
That's my rendition and my homage to where I'm from. Like born in California, raised in Colorado. A lot of people when they meet me, they're like, "You don't seem like you from here." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not." Even though I was raised here, there's a lot of, it just goes to show that who you are, your DNA, all of that stuff, your ancestors, it's in your blood. Whether you
Yeah.
like it or not, ain't nothing you can do to fight it. So I'm a California girl by nature, but I live here in Colorado as a lot of people have migrated from
Yes.
California to Colorado. So that's where I
Wow.
got the name Cali Soul.
Now, what age did you move to Colorado?
I moved here when I was a pup with my mom. I think I was about 4 years old and
Oh,
I was already acclimated to California. The funny story that my mom tells everybody is like, this girl was definitely a California girl because when she tried to put me down in the first snow that I witnessed, she said I curled my feet up under me like, what is that? I'm gonna need you to pick me up. She said I screamed and I cried because I did not know what snow was. And it
wow.
took me a while to get used to it. I didn't want nothing to do with this snow here. So
Wow. You are a California girl in heart and soul. Now,
yes, ma'am.
I was reading your bio. You are a musician
Yes,
and you are a natural hair stylist.
yes,
Is that the right terminology?
yes.
Tell us about your music. I love your music. It's just very, it's like, your voice is deep and rich. And I
Thank you.
love like the music. Tell us about your music and how you started this journey with your music.
Thank you. I'm glad that you enjoy it.
I
I
do.
do Afrobeat, I do reggae, I do funk with a little bit of R&B. So when you hear my music, it's all of those genres combined, plus my background of gospel and soul. Afrobeat music, reggae music, and even funk. Those are like very political genres of music. They often have a message of saving the people, people saving themselves, the consciousness of the mind, how you view the world, how the world views you, stand up and take action.
Yeah.
And that for me, that's what music is about. Like I want people to hear my words. I want God to speak through me and whatever message that person needs individually. no matter what I say, I want them to receive and get what they're supposed to get in that moment when they encounter my music.
Now, do you write your lyrics and do you put the beats together, or do you work with other people also?
It's a mixture. I always write my own lyrics.
Mhm.
In the Tonga, I've taken on a few of the previous lead vocalist lyrics as I took over lead for that band. But my lyrics, I write all of my own lyrics, especially if you hear my individual tracks. And in regards to the music, it depends on what band I'm working with. Oftentimes, I'm working in bands where there's a lot of people like Tonga. We're a 10-piece Afrobeat band. So
Mhm.
we just sit down and we have writing sessions and we pop ideas off of one another. And it kind of evolves in that way. Wake Up and Live is a Bob Marley tribute band. So we just do Bob Marley's music because, music transcends time. And
Yeah,
Bob could heal people from now until the end of time. So I love
yes.
doing that music too. And then in my funk bands, it's usually cover music, lots of James Brown, Aretha Franklin, Shaka Khan, Tina Turner, and all of the funk legends.
You do it all. You
I
do
do.
it all. I was thinking about you. There was a segment on the news, and it talked about um, Afrobeat coming to the Hollywood Bowl, and they never had a group like that. I said, "Oh, I'm gonna go see Calysol at the Hollywood Bowl one day."
Hey, let's
So
speak it into existence.
yeah, that would. It's a first now, but maybe it'll be a trend where more and more people will be, just feel the soul of the music. When I was
Mhm.
living in the Bay Area, there was always like African dancing in Oakland, and then we had the Astronaut in Berkeley on University with that type of music. So it's been around a long time, and I'm just
Mhm.
excited for you. You
Thank
have a
you.
whole new opportunity to reach another generation.
That's right. That's right. It's
Yeah.
interesting how it's come back too, because Afrobeat originated by people listening to funk music in Africa. They were listening to US funk music and US jazz, and then they
Okay.
took it and meshed the jazz and the funk together and mixed it with tribal drumming, and that's how Afrobeat came
Wow.
about. So for it to come full circle now, and all of a sudden America's like, oh, Afrobeats, oh, we're gonna listen to this, and it's like, ain't nothing new under the sun. They didn't lie when they told us
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about your hair journey, natural hair, and then we'll go on to body image.
Okay, okay. So I started here in Colorado doing hair when I was about 12 years old. Um, how it started was my mom, she knew how to do hair very well. She wasn't a hairstylist by trade, but she had worked in salons as a shampoo girl and the techs and stuff like that. Well, she used to braid my hair so tight that I would have them little white dots around my
Oh
edges.
God,
And I
yeah.
was like, oh, there got to be a better way. So I started practicing on myself, braiding hair. And then I learned how to add extensions. And
Mhm.
once she seen that I could do the extensions on myself, she had me start doing her hair. And then from her hair, we got the people from her job, the people at the church, the people in the
Wow.
neighborhood. So like at 12 years old on the weekends, like that was my hustle. And
Mhm.
I come from a family of for real hustlers.
Mhm.
So hustle is in my blood. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to do this in a legit way. What's interesting is when my mom seen that talent in me, she began to cultivate it and she did feed me clients. She's like, oh, you're gonna be a great hairstylist. And back
Wow.
then, you're a kid. I think I was about 10 or 11 when it started showing up in me. And then 12 when I actually started building the clientele. But when it first showed up, she seen that talent as parents do, and she fed it, she cultivated it, she showed me how to make sure that my knots were in tight to the scalp instead of slipping. She would be like, you can't let it slip. Can't let it slip.
Right.
Ain't nobody gonna want to pay you if they braids is slipping out. So she
Right.
worked on that with me. And yeah, just as I started doing everyone, that's how my clientele built. I actually have some people today that still come to me that I did when I was 12 years
Oh
old.
my God. Did you
Uh-huh.
go to cosmetology school?
Yep, that was another thing. We lived right across the street from Montbello High School, where I graduated from. And my mom, even though my family is very street, my mother went the opposite way. Woman of the
Yeah.
cloth, pearl clutching woman of the cloth. So she was
Yes.
like, "You're not about to be sitting around my house idle." Her coin then was like, idle mind is the devil's playground. So when
Yes.
senior year rolled around, and I was very bright, I was quick witted, I got my studies done early, so I finished all of my credits by like the end of my junior year in high school. So senior year, I thought I was about to chill and hang around the house, and be the senior that had the other girlfriends over for lunch and stuff. And my mom was like, "Nah, baby." She said,
You
"You're
going to
gonna go to
cosmetology
cosmetology
school?
school. You're not about to
Yeah.
be sitting around my house,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
she
Wow.
said, "Go ahead, go to cosmetology school. And that way, as you're figuring out what you want to do in life, you know, you can pay your bills. While you're in college, you could be doing people's hair and,
Right.
your bills will be paid." So I really
Absolutely.
appreciated her for that. She's amazing in regards to cultivating people's natural gifts.
Mhm. Yeah. Cool. Cool. Before we start, is there any comments from the audience? Naeem, we got any comments?
Yes,
Or
we have I am September Rain says, "Good afternoon, beautiful
hey,
people."
baby.
Good
And
afternoon, September
he also says,
rain.
"Beautiful name," and we're talking about your name, Calysol.
Yes.
Thank you so
And
much.
we have some dude trolling on here named Charles Brakely
What?
talking about good afternoon, ladies.
What?
Yeah, gotta watch
Good
that guy.
afternoon, Charles.
Hey, Chuck.
And Jacqueline Davis says, "Wishing you both a blessed and beautiful Sunday."
Hey,
Happy
Jacqueline.
Sunday, Jacqueline.
A question from September Rain says, "Have you ever made tutorials for different hairstyles? If not, would you ever be interested in doing so? Amazing work."
Yeah, I'm working on that right now. Thank you for that question. I'm working on that right now. I'm actually taking a class in regards to social media marketing so that once I build my curriculum, I'll be able to put it out there and market it properly. Um, as an artist, I'm naturally a recluse. I don't like to be bothered. Like a lot of people that know me well, they know I post enough, but I don't post that much because I'm like, I'm busy living my life. I don't really have time to be telling y'all
Yes.
what I'm doing with my life. I'm busy living it. But yes, I'm absolutely going to be doing that. So you can follow me on World of Calysol on Instagram. That's my conglomerate page of all the things that I do. And just keep an eye out because those will be coming up likely in 2022. So thank you so much for that question.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. We're going to switch gears um, and talk a little bit about the topic at hand, and that's body image. I've heard about Sarah Bartman, and a couple of years ago, and it's very disheartening the way we were treated, the way we are treated, and then the way we look at ourselves, because of the lens of how other people look at us. And this could be women of all sizes, all shapes, even all ethnicities too, because it's something so disheartening about the standards of beauty, not only in America, but the European standard of beauty. So with that being said, I just want to read a little bit about Sarah Bartman. Sarah Bartman was one of the first Black women known to be subjugated to human trafficking. Now, this is such a big deal now, but she was human trafficked back in the 1700s. I'm just going to kind of skim over it. She was born in South Africa, Eastern Cape in South Africa. Bartman and her family were members of a tribal group. She grew up in a colonial farm where she and her family most likely worked as servants. Her mom died when she was a young girl, and when she was age 2, and her father, he was a cattle driver, died when she was still a young girl. I just want to get to the part when she came to Europe. On October 29th, 1810, although she could not read, 20-year-old Bartman supposedly signed a contract with William Dunlop, the physician, who was a friend of somebody she worked for. The contract required her to travel with the Cesar brothers in Dunlap to England and Ireland, where she would work as a domestic servant, technically a slave. And then she would also be exhibited for entertainment purposes. She was supposedly would receive a portion of her earnings from her exhibitions and would be allowed to return to South Africa after 5 years. However, the contract was false on all details, and she couldn't read or write. She was first exhibited in London in the Egyptian Hall at Piccadilly Circus on November 14th, 1810. Her public treatment, however, quickly drew the attention of the British abolitionists, who charged Dunlap and Cesars with holding Bartman against her will. The court ruled against Bartman, and after Peter Cesar produced the contract that had been signed by Bartman, Bartman also testified that she was not being mistreated. But as it goes on, they displayed her body. She had large hips, mainly buttocks. She was only 4'10", and so her body was put on display. There were some accounts where they put a collar on her neck. There were some accounts where, like I said, she was sexually exploited. So they treated her as an animal because her body was different. And in 1994, South African President Nelson Mandela formally requested that Bartman's remains be returned to South Africa on March 6, 2002. Her remains were returned and buried at Hinkie in the Eastern Cape province, and she was only 26 when she died. And let's talk about body image.
Yeah. Does it say how she died? Because that's
I
such a
think
young
she
age
died
to.
from a venereal disease. I believe
That makes
so.
sense.
Yeah, I believe she died from a venereal disease. I want to just put up her name if people want to kind of research her. But there are videos of her on YouTube. I would just put up, I have my notes on here too, but I don't know if you can see her name.
Yep. Sarah Bartman.
Yeah.
Sarah Bartman.
Yeah. So we dedicate the show to her.
Amen. Ashe.
Yeah. Our bodies.
It's very interesting.
Our bodies, I'm a big girl. I've always been a big girl. I got big bones. I got, big fingers, and I was always the biggest in my family. My sisters were 5'3" and little teeny things. I think because my mom's side was tall and my dad's side was short. And I have aunties 5'9", 6 feet easy. But I was always the biggest of in my family, and it I wasn't bothered by it, because my aunts were big. When I say big, a size 16. My mom was big, um, but I remember my sister saying, "Oh, she's big like you," or "She's about your size." So, but I was never bothered with size, I guess, growing up. But go ahead. This is for you. You tell yourself. This is
Oh
for you,
no,
Kelly.
that's fine. And cheers to you for starting a plus size casting agency. That's amazing. My mother was a plus size model when I was a young girl.
Yay!
So, and what's interesting is my mother's messages were very positive in regard to who I was as a Black woman. I remember one of the first things that she taught me is like, don't worry about what people say about you. They words don't mean nothing. And if they talking about you, you're on their mind. Worry about it when they not talking about you. And
Wow.
I'm grateful that I had that take with me because there was so many messages that I received in this society, even within my family, that just said, "Hey, you ugly, you black, you dark, skinny, you're lanky,
Oh
it's
my.
always interesting to me to hear so many people's journey in body image, to hear light skinned women say their experiences of how they were marginalized, hear dark skinned women
Mhm.
speak of their journeys, to hear big girls speak of their journey, to hear small girls. I talk to ladies doing hair, we're like the official, unofficial therapist of the
Yeah, you
community.
are. Yeah, you are.
We work and for me, I take that personal. I love, you know, helping people get a different understanding of themselves, giving them a very equanimous view so that they can see themselves in a different way. And it's been interesting to me to see women in their 70s battle with insecurity all the
Wow.
way down to the babies. And
Mm,
and in the 70s, like a woman in her 70s, meet me and a woman of a certain age, you look up to them, those are your mentors, and I listen to their words. They're mentoring me just as much as I'm mentoring them. So they teach me
yes.
about finance and life and all of these things. So to hear those women voice their insecurities, it's like, whoa. But I understand the root of those insecurities. Go and I have to speak in life from the viewpoint of a Black woman. That's who I materialized as in this lifetime. So I hope don't nobody get offended by me showing
No,
up the way that I do. If you do, you'll be
who
all
you
right.
are. That's who you are. Yeah.
But going thinking back to the Sarah Bartmans or the first Africans that were brought to America, we were immediately stripped down and put on display. One of the first things that they did to us was cut our hair off.
Mm,
How humiliating
yeah.
did that have to be? You already in a place that you don't know. You're scared. You don't watch them throw your people overboard, rip you from your children. Then they put, they might or might not have given you a bath, and the bath that they gave you, you was sprayed down with water like some kind of animal. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
all of that fed our ideas of our body image to be put on display like meat and animals, to for them to look at Black men and say, oh, if they got wide shoulders, thick necks, and they're tall, those are the ones that we want to breed because those are going to give us a stronger slave. For them to see the women with the hips and broad shoulders and a strong base and then say, okay, we need to breed them with the quote unquote mandinos, the strongest of them, so that we can get a stronger slave, so that we can get more product out.
Right.
That in itself is degrading. So I hope that people understand where we are in America today with this whole idea of white beauty standards. And what's really interesting about it is the Sarah Bartmans in the world. Like Sarah Bartman is the one we know of, but how
Mhm.
many more did they degrade? Did they take their, but did they sexually abuse? You know, did you know
Yes, they did. Yes, yes,
the
they.
brutalization of
Yeah,
slavery? Um, it has a great part to do with white women's role in the whole confine of slavery. For them to see those beautiful black women and be jealous of
yeah.
what they had. They've got this curvature, they've got these full lips. And if you look today, everything we are. My favorite saying is if they could snatch the melanin off of your tail, they would. But
Well,
they
I heard
can't.
there's a pill. There's a melanin pill that they can take. But even, even when we came to this continent, the way we are, we were different than the Europeans. So what I'm learning through, it's like I'm learning a lot. So everything is a lie. I mean, the falsities that we were taught from the European perspective, it's such a lie because you see the Sarah Bartmans and I go to the Kardashians. You see the big lips, you go to the Kardashians. You see the big booty, people are waiting in line to get injections, live or die sick. Some people are dying because they're getting cement injected into them or whatever it is, but they want to be Sarah Bartman. So it's like everything that I feel that I was taught is a lie, and it has to be retaught again. Where you were not pretty enough, you were too dark. I mean, the dark models are killing it right now. I mean, I was looking at some pictures from Sudan. These chicks are tall and dark as night. You put on yellow on them. Oh my
Yeah.
God, they just glow. But I think everything that we taught was a lie because we was not shiftless. We invented everything. The stoplight, the
Yeah.
from the freaking
The soles on your
internet.
shoes.
Yeah, everything in America we invented, so we couldn't be shiftless and lazy because we invented
Not at all.
everything. We can work in the hot sun, right, and not
Yeah.
get skin cancer, malaria. So I mean, everything we taught was a lie, including our skin, our bodies, our
Hmm.
hair. You
Hmm.
know, I get so upset when I look at YouTube and they're putting berries on your hair, they're putting aloe vera on your hair, and the hair is just growing crazy. But the
Beautifully.
chemicals we put on our hair, well, my generation, it just broke our hair out, you know, and it's
Oh,
yeah. So I mean, it's like a rebirth right now. We have to relearn a lot of different things. But go ahead.
absolutely. I want to circle back to the hair journey because that's very important
Yes.
in this
Yeah.
conversation. And you were talking about the chemicals. So earlier on in my career, I was not just a natural hair practitioner. Now that's all I do. You can't
Mhm.
come in and get me to put no relaxer in your hair, no weaves, and nothing like that. But early on, I did everything, and
Yeah.
and my specialty was actually
Mhm.
weaves and haircuts on those weaves because I seen a gap where it was like folks was getting weaves, but they just had all this hair put in their head,
Right.
but they didn't
Right.
have it cut and shaped to
To
really
blend it
accentuate
in.
everything
Yeah.
about each woman. So I got so good at them weaves, honey. I would have clients come back in like 4 and 5 months with the same weave that I put in their head, still in their head. And I'm like, why is this still in your head? You know, they're
Wow.
like, oh, it didn't feel like it needed to come out. But I reached a turning point in my career, and the shift started maybe around 2007, where I just felt uneasy. I was like, people are coming into me to get me to cover up their natural beauty and to change and alter what they are. So I actually almost quit doing hair, and
Mm.
I ended up moving away to Miami. And the church that I attended while I was out there just so happened all the sisters there was natural. And we talking
Mm.
about bald heads, kinky hair, they was rocking all the natural styles and confidently. And we're talking about women that were professors at the university, doctors in the hospital, regular lay people. And I was just like sitting there looking at them every Sunday, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I went out there with my weave,
Ah,
and I loved it. I was fabulous.
yeah, yeah.
um and I remember Reverend Mary Tompkins preaching a sermon on self awareness.
Mm.
And I felt like she spoke directly to me. I don't know if she was looking behind me or if she was looking directly at me, but she linked in and she said, can't nobody do no fixing up on you better
Wow.
than God has already done. And I was
Wow.
like, okay. In that moment, I wasn't really ready to receive that message, but it still pierced my soul and sat in my consciousness and just kind of bubbled. And,
Yeah.
next thing you know, one day I was on my way to the grocery store, rain started pouring. I had my wig on my head. When I came out the store, it was still pouring. So I was like, I got to just go home. I got to get home. And the rain just made all of the chemicals that was in my hair and in my
Mm.
wig go into my eyes. I snatched my wig off and I finished walking home. And when I
Wow.
got home, I went in the bathroom. I put my groceries away in the bathroom and I shaved my head. And I remember when my husband at the time came home, he just looked at me and he's like, what'd you do? And I'm like, oh,
Um,
you know, uh, shaved my head. He's like, what made you want to do that? And I was like, I'm tired of it, because my
yeah.
edges was getting all ate off because I was putting relaxer in it to blend it in with the,
Mm.
with the weave and all this stuff. And I had grown tired of all
Yes.
the accoutrement, all of the masks to make myself look different and feel insecure. Like it felt like somebody was resting on my shoulders at all times, like
Mm.
I was carrying an alternate ego, right, with me everywhere I went. So and I had the freedom to do that when I lived in Miami, because one thing about hairstylists that most hairstylists know is like whatever you do with yourself, especially if it's together. We're not talking about the hairstylists that don't keep themselves up, but
Right.
most of the things that we do, our clients emulate us. So
Yes.
I thought about going natural while I lived in Colorado, but I was scared because I was like, I don't know what people gonna think. I don't know if I'm gonna lose clients. I don't know if
Right.
they're gonna think I'm crazy. And here in Colorado, it just wasn't. It wasn't normal to
Wasn't
be
time.
natural. It wasn't accepted.
Mm.
So doing it out there and then coming back here with my natural hair, and even while I was there going through that journey, I remember I was gonna just wear my hair natural, but I was going to start making wigs. But I
Mm.
went to go get a photo shoot one day from one of my photographer friends in the neighborhood, and I had all my wigs done up and I had them in my duffel bag. But I walked down to his house with my bald head. By then, it had grew in a little bit, enough to kind of do coil twists, like the sponge twist or whatever. And
Yes.
so I laid all my wigs out on his table, and he looked at me and he was like, what are you about to do with those? And I was like, we're here today to do the shoot for my wig line. So I'm
Mhm.
going to put the wig on my head and you're
Right.
going to take pictures, remember? And he's like, can I just take a few pictures of you before you put
Mm.
the wig on? And I was like,
Wow.
okay, whatever. I was doing it for him.
Right. Right.
Little did I know the universe, my ancestors, God was doing that for me. He took the pictures. I still put my wigs on. He took all of those photos. And when he sent me my proofs back and I seen myself, I cried.
Ah, why'd you
because
cry
like people had been telling me I was beautiful all my life, but I hadn't seen it for myself.
until that
So
moment?
seeing it with
Yeah.
no additives, no mask, no lashes, no, seeing it for myself, I was like, dang, I'm good. God
Yes.
made me just fine. That was when what Reverend Mary said in that sermon set in with
Mhm.
me like, nah, you can put whatever you want on yourself. God sent you into this world perfect, just the way you
Yes.
are. You can put stuff on, if it has the appearance of making you feel better, that's great. But when it all boils down to it, you're just fine the way you are, you know.
Wow.
So,
That was a moment, huh? That was
ooh,
that
that was a
aha,
moment.
aha
Uh-huh.
moment. But
Uh-huh.
I want to go back when you said as a child you didn't feel beautiful. Um, was it because, other people's, it's like, look at that dark skinned girl, or, people always talked about my eyes. She got them big eyes. That's my greatest
Mhm.
asset right now. So,
Mhm.
what made you feel not beautiful, Callie? Because
Um,
as a child, is it?
for me, it's very personal, and I'll be vulnerable and share it here. My grandmother, she was a paper bag girl, and she let us know that, like, if girls was darker than her, she wouldn't play with them. So the word, I remember passing by mirrors, and she wasn't an enlightened
Can you
individual in
repeat
the
that?
matter of
She was a
self-esteem.
what? I'm sorry. She
She
was a.
was an original brown paper bag girl. You remember the
What does
brown
that
paper
mean?
bag test? So the brown
Mm-mm.
paper bag test is the test of a brown paper bag, putting it up against your skin, and if you were lighter than the brown paper bag, you were thought to be more acceptable in society. And if you were darker than the brown paper bag, then it was like, you was a darkie. You know, that was something that was
Mm.
perpetrated in our community. And it came from slavery, right? Because
Yes.
once the master slept with the slaves and created
Right.
a new type of new,
Mulatto. Yeah.
yeah,
Mulatto.
then they brought those people in the house. That was where that seed of jealousy was sown into
Yes.
the community in the first place. And then you got to think of it like this: the jealousy, came from the slave masters' wives being jealous of us in the first place. Like my mom taught me that at a young age. If they talking about you, they jealous. You know how
Mm.
girls say, "Oh, you think you all of that." My mama
You.
taught me to say, "No, you think
You.
I'm all of that." And
Yes.
that's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, my grandmother was a brown paper bag girl, but my grandmother also survived the Great Depression. She grew up east, Providence, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts, and she
Mhm.
had a very hard past herself, a very hurtful past. So for her, she didn't really know how to tend to our emotions. So she would tell me, to get my ugly ass out the mirror. I'm not ugly, grandma. Mama says I'm pretty. She's like, you right, you are pretty, pretty ugly.
Oh, wow.
So for me, that was where that came from. Now, fast forward, I think when I was about 25, I ended up having that conversation with my grandmother. Like, hey, that didn't feel good. This is how it affected me. And her retort was, oh, girl, I was just playing. I said, I don't think you play with children that way. I really internalized that. So I had
Yeah.
those words in the back of my mind. And,
Yes.
as a young lady, you start developing, you're going out and with your friends or whatever, and people would see me and they'd say, "Oh, you were so beautiful," or whatever. I thought they were patronizing me. So I'm
Mm.
like, you just saying that because I'm a dark skinned girl in the crew, and you think you're gonna make me feel better by telling me. I thought they were patronizing me, so I didn't
Wow.
believe it.
Wow.
Also, the messages on TV, and thank God for the Black creators that we have today that are creating good images of us and putting all of us in there from the lightest to the darkest. They're putting us on screen so that our babies can see us and see, like, oh no, there goes a girl that looks like me. There goes a girl that
Exactly.
looks like my friend. They really are helping the younger generation
Yes.
feel accepted and understand that we all good, right? I
Right.
remember being little, and my stepdad was a carpenter, so there was always paint around, and he had painted this barn brown. And when I grew up, and I'm sure Jamila, you can agree with this, we didn't have many black baby dolls. Like they had
No.
just started coming out
Mm.
with chocolate, what was that, Cabbage Patch Kids and stuff
Oh
like
yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was a little girl, black dolls was not a regular thing. So we
No.
had a lot of white doll babies. So
Yeah.
one day, me and my little sister sitting there, and I said, you know what we gonna do? We gonna go get that brown paint out the barn, and we gonna paint these dolls black. And
Whoa.
we did. And we painted those dogs black. And it was, for us, it was beautiful. But,
Yes.
once the paint started peeling off, it was atrocious. The babies looked like they had vitiligo and stuff. But,
Ah!
for us, it was like, we want black dolls. Um,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
remember crying, watching TV, and my mom be like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "There ain't nobody on there that looks like me, like."
Mm.
And she pointed me toward Iman. Iman was a big model, big time model,
Yes.
when I was younger. But she was kind of like the only one in the modeling industry that I was
Mm.
exposed to. I'm sure there were more, but that was the only person that my mother could point me to. And then, black cinema back then, they depicted us as a maid,
Mm-hmm.
a slave. Like we had beautiful women on the screen like Cicely Tyson. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
I was pointed to oh my gosh, Josephine Baker, Nina Simone, but they
Yes.
never really put them on the screen
No.
to accentuate their beauty. It was more degrading, in my opinion. So I just wanted to look on the screen and see people like me. So
Mm.
I grew up very insecure, but fortunately, that foundation of what my mother told me and my mom told me, like, girl, you beautiful, But you had that kind of ebb and flow. It's like you hear this, you ugly in the
Right.
back of your head, you dark, and then
Right.
you don't see people who look like you to help affirm who you are, and then you got your mom telling you you're beautiful. Everybody mama gonna tell them they beautiful. The most
Yes.
odd looking child in the world has a mother's love, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I didn't think
Absolutely.
my mother was patronizing me, but that's my mom. To me, like that's
Yeah.
her job to tell me I'm beautiful. So when
Did
people
you
would
look
tell
like
me,
your mom? Did you look like your mom?
no,
You look like.
I was the dark skinned version of my grandmother.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
Mm.
that was an interesting dynamic as well. And honey, let me tell you, that woman was beautiful. My grandmother was a beautiful woman. I loved watching her put her facial creams on in the mornings and her lotion and her girdles. I love watching my grandmother get dressed, and I just would be like, you know what? When I grow up, I'm gonna put myself together like that.
Wow. Wow.
So her words was like, that was in the back of my mind, but I still looked up to her just for how she showed up as a woman. And my mother also had a charm school and a fashion guild here in Colorado.
Wow.
So my
Wow.
mom taught me, like, girl, whatever you got, shine it up, take care
Yes.
of it, love it, because it's yours. So
Wow.
I didn't really get comfortable with the idea of me being beautiful until I was in my late 20s.
Wow. Wow. Naeem, do we have some questions or comments from the audience?
Yeah, we have
That was so
Soul in
good,
here.
Callie.
Thank you for sharing,
Thank you.
Soul.
That
And
was
I'm
so
gonna
good.
go from
Absolutely.
the latest comments up because talking about what you were just saying. So we got
Okay.
Izzy Meditate says, "Hey sunshine." She
Hey,
says, "Dear the
Izzy.
complexion, I call myself mocha latte." And
Yes, queen.
Timber Rain says, "Hey, beauty," and she also says, "I can definitely relate. Go, girl." And
Amen.
when you started talking about yourself, she said, "Thank you, Calysol, for your transparency. You are sincerely appreciated."
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And Dreddy Gal says, "Love that, Calysol. Thanks for sharing your personal journey and knowing the truth about you being a beautiful, like 17 used in there, beautiful black woman. And thanks for honoring Sarah Bartman too."
Amen.
And
Yes, yes, for sure.
Izzy says yes. We got like 20 more comments, just so you know. There's been a lot. So
Okay.
going back, I'm backing up into the Sarah Bartman. So this was about Callie Soul's journey and your body image, and
Okay.
then we're going back into Sarah, uh, Sarah Bartman. So we Dickerson Brown says, "You are beautiful and look 16."
Hmm.
Amen. Thank you.
And Izzy says, I've been all natural for over 16 years. Best decision of my life."
Wow.
William Bird says, "I really wish all of our beautiful black women had a better self love for themselves. You, you're all so amazing, like nothing on the
Mm.
planet. You all gave birth
Mhm.
to all nations." Thank you, William. Sky Darling says, "I am all natural, but it's cool to have weave. If you look at history of Egypt, the sisters have wigs and weaves, but the weaves today are damaging sisters here. We are we put here from Asia, Asian women, the DNA doesn't match." It's what my darling says. And Izzy says,
Thank you,
"Hey,
Scott.
beautifuls." All right, we're still going backwards. So we got Karen.
Kira, hey, Kira.
All right, let me start from this one. "I'm grateful to see we are learning and teaching more about our beauty, especially from within each day."
Yes,
Amen.
Amen.
God fixing us up. You were talking about
yes.
your story. Let's see. Robert Dickerson says, "Peace and blessings to the Feel Good Talk group. Always a pleasure to know and share that information. It's power." And let's see.
Amen.
Sky says, "We established tribes and family structure before coming to America. And where did the word America come from anyway? What is where did the silly, unmature word come from?" And September Rain says, "I love that you are touching on body image. There's so many people who have issues with feeling accepted because of what others' perceptions are. Love this show, heart. That this is
Thank
a space of no judgment and appreciating all colors and sizes." Thank you, September.
you. Amen. Yes.
All right,
Amen.
we got about, let's see, we got about 10 more. So, Karen says, "Good afternoon." Sky says, "We are the original people, earth-born people." Sky also says, "Hello, Cali Soul." September says, "Hello, good afternoon, beautiful," and saying hello to September. And oh yes, it's okay. Okay, so yes, she was a strong queen. So we're going back
Sarah Bartman.
now. Yes. And please share this broadcast and let everyone know Jamila J is always blessing all the queens to speak out on Jamila J Girl Talk. Thank you guys, because I know that's right.
Thanks, Jamila.
Ah.
Yes. So yeah, we got them. And also, is this your correct Instagram, Cali Soul?
That is the main Instagram. Yes, I also have a music page that's just Cali Soul underscore official. But yes, World of Cali Soul.
So Cali Soul underscore official, spelled official, or is it spelled official?
Official, properly spelled.
Okay. I'm just checking because you know.
Thank
All right.
you.
We got one more comment here saying, "Hello at Jamila J, the Royal Queen, always," from Sky. Thank you,
Yeah.
Sky.
Yeah. I mean, this has been a very, we've been talking an hour, but it seems like 10 minutes. Um, so
Flying.
I just want to, first of all, thank you for sharing your soul. And this is a
Welcome.
place where I want people to always come and share their soul, tell their story their way, and tell their truth. This is your time to really, you know, tell your story, your platform, your perspective, whatever you want to call it. This is your hour, and so I so appreciate you. We always come to the table to educate, to inspire, enlighten, inspire, and entertain. And before we kind of close out, I just want to read um, five tips about accepting your body, and then you can close out. You may want to sing a little something, but I'm always going to give you the last word. So I think it's time that we step up and accept our own bodies, knowing that you're beautiful, you're sexy at any size, shape, skin color, hair. We talked about self-confidence with Izzy on Thursday, and it's confidence is really truly being you, regardless of what anybody would say or what they would think. Just being your authentic self, and I just think that that just shows the confidence that you have in yourself, just being you, regardless. But I just want to read really quickly about your body image, and number one is saying accept your perceived flaws you know will defeat your negative self-image. So however God created you, you're perfectly and wonderfully made, not looking at the European standards of beauty, because we're not Europeans, and all that is one big Photoshop, and we can never compete with
Amen.
that. Yeah.
Amen.
Change what you have control over. If you think you're too fat, well, exercise. Try to eat right, drink water, whatever you don't like. To the extreme. Just change it. Um, I'm not talking about in terms of plastic surgery, but there's ways that you can enhance the positive. Um, and that is number two. Number three, address according to your body type. You know, I don't agree with this, but I'm gonna read it. Okay, but it says get professional help to address your body image, and they're talking about eating disorders, so bulimia, anorexia, things like that. And five is stop comparing yourself to other women. Stop envying other women because they got issues just like you do. Probably worse. So those are the kind of the five tips I got, how to just embrace your body image. So I'm going to leave the last word with you. And I just want to say, Callie, so we have so many things to talk about, and I'd like to invite you back, until we get everything on the table, you know.
Thank
So
you.
if your
Thank
schedule
you.
allows, maybe once a month you can come and we can have this deep conversation, because a lot of
Thank
women,
you.
they may not have the courage to speak,
Mhm.
but they have the heart to feel it.
Mhm. Thank you. Well, thank you, Jamila, for offering me your platform. And I will absolutely take you up on that because there's so much more for us to unpack. And I'm excited for this healing space that you've opened up to everyone. Like the listener was saying earlier, where everybody is welcome here, and to share our stories transparently in a safe space. So thank you for offering that up to us, and I will absolutely come back. And
Love that.
I'll say self talk. Your self talk is important. How you view yourself comes from your self talk. The thoughts that you have, that you hold about yourself, the affirmations that you give yourself. Like, make yourself some affirmations. And if you have a hard time, then look up some affirmations, Google some,
Mm-hmm.
ask some of your elders for some affirmations. Hit us up, hit me up on social media. Like, hey sis, I'm having problems with this. Can I get affirmation to help me out? I love
Absolutely.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Don't get angry if I don't get back to you immediately, because I'm not on social media a lot. I'm learning to be on there a little bit more. But yeah, just tend to your self talk and be mindful. Be mindful the way you speak to your children. And I know that you can't give what you don't already have. So especially to the parents out there, you know, work on self love, because if you work on the love of self, that's gonna, your children are gonna see that. Be mindful of the words that you use when you speak to them. And also, if you have more than one child, be careful not to compare them to one another. Like, oh, you know, sometimes I've heard people when they bring their kids in, they'll say, oh, girl, your sister's hair is easy, but your hair, you got hair like your daddy.
That was me.
You,
I had that bad
yeah,
hair.
like children in, and let me just say, if it's growing up out of your scalp, it's good hair.
I
It's
had that
growing from
bad
your
hair.
scalp. Mm-mm. And that word nappy, that's a British word for
Yes.
diaper. We don't need to
Ah,
use that. It is kinky. It is kinky. Your hair
yes.
is either straight, wavy, curly, or kinky. Let's get rid of these
Negative.
degrading terms that don't serve our community.
Mm,
Comparison is the robber, it's the thief of the present moment and truth. So comparing yourself to another woman, you especially y'all people that love to be on social media, like you sitting up and you looking at somebody else's life, you're going to compare yourself. It's just natural. Social media is like one big subliminal message all in one. And subliminal messages, they take their time and they imprint in the
mm,
consciousness, and
yes.
then they water in the seed. You see it on TV and the seeds get watered, and then
Mhm.
next thing you know, you got a garden full of weeds. Your mind,
Yes.
your consciousness, that's your garden.
Yeah.
Those children that you have, their consciousness is a garden. So you want
Mm,
to make sure you plant mindful words, lift them up, build them up. Don't compare them to one another. Don't Just be thoughtful. Be mindful with your words, because mm, they're sponges. Children are sponges. I have a big heart for children, because I think oftentimes we just think, oh, they just a kid. They ain't paying attention. Yes, they are. And they paying
they,
more attention to what you do than what you say,
right. Amen.
especially what you say directly to them. You could say something directly to them and they're like, uh-huh. But if you over here saying something different and doing something different, that's what they're going to remember. Like, oh, mama said not to lie, but she just lied to the grocery store attendant. She just lied to the bill collector, and you just taught her how to lie, you know?
Yes.
So be
Yes.
mindful, because those minds are tender, and those formative years are the most important time of their lives, to build them up, to give them fortitude and a good foundation. Let them
Mm,
know you're wonderful. You can be whatever you want to be. Yeah, you're different. You're different from your friend. Your friend is different from you. That don't make nothing wrong with neither one of y'all. We all
that's right.
good. We're all God's children, you
That's
know.
right.
So yes,
That's
beware. Mind your self talk. Mind your speech and stuff when you're talking to other people. And as the old folk used to say, if you don't have nothing nice to say, then don't say nothing at all.
mm,
Like, think, is this going to build or is this going to tear down before you let something fall out of your mouth?
yes. Yes.
It's been lovely. Thank you so much for having me, Jamila, and I'm excited
Oh,
to come back.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Naeem.
we're gonna close out
Appreciate you.
these comments. We got like 10 more.
Okay.
We got more comments.
Okay.
Yeah. So James Peak Jr. says this is an amazing platform, and thank
Hey,
you Jamila, for inviting me. He also said the
you're
children will tell
welcome.
you the truth, and they'll listen to their parents, but they'll always mimic their parents' behavior. And
Mhm.
September Rain was saying, "Tell them claps, parents giving you claps."
Preach.
And James said, "Wow, you are a blessing to many." And Karen said, "Beautifully stated, Jamila." And she also said, "Hugs, Calysol. I felt some of your past pain as you got emotional speaking about your grandmother. Blessings always."
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Thank you.
James said, "Apologies for being late at work." And Izzy said, "No worries at all. We have everything on the replay." And he
Thank
says,
you,
"Your
Izzy.
worth is priceless. Accepting your imperfection is what makes us so beautiful and powerful.
Hmm.
Heart, heart, crown, crown." And Sky says, "Sorry I was late for church." And
Mhm.
Chat.
yeah, so yeah. And also we have in the back HT
You put your
love
finger up.
yeah, but she says that I love the show, smiley faces. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Hey, HT.
Yes.
lots. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you everybody for commenting and asking questions and sharing
Yes.
and listening in.
And we
Right on, right
appreciate
on.
you. And we will see you next week, same time, same place. Naeem, you gonna come back? You gonna come back? You gonna help me out? If Chuck can't come.
You know I'm here. Get my
All
dad
right.
right here. All right, boom. Yeah, I'm here. I'm Shaka
All right. So long as
Thanks,
I have
Naeem.
Naeem or Chuck, I'll be back. And we always have to close and we gotta say, we got one more comment or we gonna just peace out. But we gonna you wanna read the comment, Naeem, before we go?
Amazing show. Love you, Jamila. That's from September Rain again.
Mm. So we just gonna go 1, 2, 3. We're gonna go peace, Callie. So you're part of the
Okay.
Feel Good family. So
Oh,
you
thank
got
you.
to come back. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.